the next guest that's going to be here right now with us is another person who already talked during the event. Esther, nice to meet you.
Nice to see you.
Yeah, so Esther Dyson, that was already introduced by Andrei. I know that you speak Russian brilliantly, but since we started in English with Marvin, we'll continue in English, if you don't mind.
Если вам лучше, могу по-английски.
All right. No, we'll stay in English. My Russian's not that good. First of all, it's great to have you here. We have a very nice, cozy location.
Yes, right.
We are aware of the amount of people around, and you're one of the people who is basically in VC in general is associated with East European markets. You are kind of a synonym for knowing Eastern Europe, and in a sense, like...
Well, from a foreigner's point of view.
Yeah, exactly. From the foreigner's perspective, you're kind of the expert of the experts here. So why, and you were here since the fall of basically Iron Curtain, why was it so interesting for you? And why is it still interesting for you?
So my parents are both scientists, and I like learning stuff. In 1980, so I learned Russian in high school.
Okay.
Back in the US, but no Russian family, nothing like that. More, my father was involved with the space program.
Okay.
So I like your shirt.
You, all right, I appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
So I learned Russian, but I never got here until 1989. And when I did, I spent 3 weeks. I met Arkady Volosh, who was just a guy from the Akademia Nauk. I met Stepan Pachikov, the early Microsoft people, Olga Dergunova, ultimately, though at the time she was working for, I think, Microinform. So it was just the beginning.
All the people who will be so big in the future, all right, okay.
And the amazing thing was I learned a lot more about the United States than about Russia. Because suddenly from outside, I started asking questions. When you're inside, whether it's inside Russia or inside the US, you don't ask the biggest, why is it this way? Why do people smile when you meet them in a store?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, in Russia we generally don't. That's
so.
And it's not that we don't like you, it's just we don't smile, that's the thing.
Well, why should you? It's
exactly. All right.
And so it was great, but I thought, I don't think I should come again. There's no point.
Okay.
And then I came 2 more times that same year.
All right.
And then suddenly I realized I was homesick. That I missed Russia. So then I started coming a lot and started a conference called East-West High-Tech Forum and so forth.
Okay. And so back then, how would you form your decision? Like, you met all these people and you invested eventually in some of these people. How would you form your investment decision back then, and how do you do it now? How did it change in this time?
I think Marvin just ended by saying something equivalent to what I say always make new mistakes. Because it's the mistakes you learn from. When you're lucky, you don't really understand what was luck and what was work, but when you make mistakes, you understand what not to do, so it's easier to be lucky the next time. My first investment was in a company called TerraLink, which still exists. Okay. And, as I was explaining elsewhere, I invested in Rambler, and then I dropped that, and then I invested in Yandex.
Okay. But how did learning through mistakes is it's a cruel way to learn, but very effective. Indeed, but how did your attitude change in terms of, so when you talk with the founder,
I don't.
Do you look at some No, you don't talk with the founders at all?
No, I always do. Yeah, no, I don't remember usually.
Okay.
Usually I meet someone 2 or 3 times, and then I start to remember. The first time they made sense, or not.
I see. So it's a gradual process basically that you make a decision. That's interesting. Another, let's move on to health specifically. So, because we have now a big section on that, and
which makes me happy.
Yeah, and this is another area of your interest. And am I right that you've donated your genome to the Personal Genome Project?
Well, I didn't donated.
It says like that.
I still have it. I gave it.
Yeah. So can you tell more about the project then?
Yeah. I mean, I actually gave it to anybody who wants it because now you can go online.
So your genome is basically in public domain. That's the idea of the project.
And
just for our viewers who don't know that.
Nobody hurt me because of that.
I'm not. No, I'm not saying it's something negative. It's just. Why do you think it's important to have the open, like a kind of copyright-free genomes available?
Because they're very useful for research.
Okay. And in which way? Can you?
Well, you can look at, if you have enough genomes, you can begin to see correlations and understand.
So you can do some cluster analysis over it. Okay.
But if for whatever reason you don't want to give your genome to the public, you don't have to. I mean, I don't think it's...
No, I'm not... Yeah, that's clear.
But I mean, what I was trying to do is make people think it's not so crazy. That's the most important thing, so that more people would do it.
That's why I thought it's a really cool story that I wanted to tell to the audience.
So Russians, please...
Guys, come on.
Put your genome up there.
You can make your genome public domain. I'm very excited myself because I'm passing a genome test with Atlas. I learn how can I handle stress genetically today, later, like in an hour or something. So
you'll learn something.
Okay.
You might not learn how to handle stress entirely.
Well, they claim that this COMPT gene.
Yeah, it indicates something.
Yeah.
But how to handle, whether you get stressed or not. How to handle it,
Yeah, sure. It's also training and learning on mistakes.
Right, and learning how to think about what makes you stressed. Like, clearly you're not stressed by being in front of the camera.
Yeah.
Maybe
not much. Much. Well, but it's still it's work. So this is a different thing. The MedTech blew up 2 years ago. For me, at least, in my word. Maybe in your word, it blew up earlier.
Yeah.
In my word, it kind of became all over 2 years ago, all over the screens and news and so on. And naturally, it transforms because the first thing it blew up with were the idea of metrization, of constant monitoring. And I see the ring, and I see the watch, and the ring is beautiful, actually. But they kind of moved forward from that. So from the idea of measuring everything, it moves in several other directions, yeah? So do you feel what is big now at the moment in EdTech, but for this metrization?
So in the world I live in, ultimately it's more about how do you understand your feelings and your behavior and change them. And knowing your behavior, understanding, after I argue with my wife, then I eat cake. When I have an important interview, I don't sleep well the night before. Understanding these things, and then understanding how can I learn to manipulate myself more effectively so that I sleep well even before a big test.
Yeah, like learning yourself and improving your behavior based on that. Okay.
Like a good manager knows how to. Some employees need to be told, "Oh, you're wonderful. Let me help," and some employees need to be told, "Get it done tomorrow or else." And knowing which approach works with yourself.
Yeah, like I think I remember I was learning German, and it was kind of a very hard process for me. And my professor was a very good psychologist because 2 weeks before the exam, he told me, "I'm afraid you won't pass." That kind of mobilized me so well. And I know that it would ruin a lot of people I know. Yeah. But for me, it was a perfect solution. And only later I understood that I don't have to be angry on this person.
Because he knew what he was doing.
Yeah, I should be grateful to him because he actually understood the way to push me forward, not to push me back. Yeah, that's a very interesting thing. So there is this... today we're discussing that, the telemed.
Telehealth,
Yeah, the idea of being able to get a consultation from a doctor, not being actually at the doctor's office. And there is also a big thing that's AI diagnostics, right? I don't know, there's constantly some competition on Kaggle. Can you diagnose cancer better than I don't know, than the previous AI, actually? I think they compete with themselves. So, you yourself, when you look at this, for example, these two trends, do you believe that you will go in some area, well, it will be kind of predarized further, so we'll have even more direction, so that the personal assistants, for example, will start analyzing our personal data and help us with this motivational decisions, and so on. Or we'll see some interplay when you'll have the digital doctor that's based on AI, that's tele. So are we talking about specialization and more fragmentized medical industry through the technology, or will we be synergetic in some way?
So the medical industry gets more specialized,
Okay.
but from the point of view of the consumer, it's more integrated.
Okay.
So
on the level of, like, I would feel it as a more holistic
yes,
experience.
because it's like this doctor talks to that doctor, talks to the nurse, talks to my teacher who understands how I learn, and so they can all give me better advice. From my point of view, it's all centralized. From the system's point of view, they're very good at communicating the APIs.
Because they can pull the data together, right? Okay, I see. All right, let's move back to investment, and I have a personal question. Do you have an investment that you regret you didn't make?
That I regret I didn't make?
Like you thought that maybe it's not that good, and then it kind of...
You know, I keep thinking, someday one of these things where I say no, I'll regret, but there's nothing huge. There are many I made that I regret.
So it's rather dones than not dones.
Yeah, and then, but I mean, I made investments in Facebook and Google.
Yeah. I'm sure you don't regret that.
No, but I wasn't. It was luck. I'm not trying. That's the point. I wasn't.
I see.
You know, Yandex, I sort of knew a little more what I was doing, but it was still also luck. With Google and Facebook, I was simply, like.
Oh, whatever.
Yeah.
Okay, let's help these guys.
Through a fund even. So. But regret. I mean, I wish I'd invested in Apple, but there was never a point where someone sent me a document where they,
All right, I see. Okay, Kevin Kelly, in his book Inevitable, writes a great idea of yours. He describes that you say that that the personal attention is the most valuable resource that we have, and email is awful because the writer doesn't bother about your attention. And I feel it's very fair. I feel the system of time management and attention control is very important. Why is it not still here? Why don't we have it still?
I did actually invest in a company that tried to fix that problem.
So it's on the way.
And in a sense, LinkedIn does that, except they don't pay me. They do charge the sender, but they don't pay the receiver. There's a newer company called Nextio that I invested in.
All right.
That is a bunch of guys from Microsoft.
Okay. And you hope that they will...
I hope. I mean, ultimately, that idea that why should I put my to-do list out in the world and everybody fills it with things I need to do?
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah, that's true.
But it just shows how much inertia there is in the system when you try to change something like that.
Yeah. But because when I read the book, I really thought that that's like, why we don't have it since the 90s or something. I would like to grow up in the world where it already exists, because it makes people more responsible for their time, because the time is eventually the only thing, that's the resource that we cannot...
Yeah, I get really mad when people waste my time. When I lose money, it's part of my education, but when someone wastes my time, it drives me crazy.
All right. So I really hope that you didn't waste your time now with this interview.
Thank you.
That was great to have you. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot.
It was Esther Dyson.